was interesting. I was just in Indonesia over Christmas, and one of the Indonesian guys that was working where we were staying, he had driven us somewhere and he said, "Oh, do you want to come and see, like, I also deal with like chickens. Do you want to come and see like where the chickens are or something?" And I don't know why we said yes, but we did. Anyway, and he took us to this huge barn, and there were thousands upon thousands of chickens in there, right?
Yeah, well, you can see that right here. You don't have to go to Indonesia.
It was awful.
20,000 chickens is normal for a shed.
It was probably that.
Yeah.
And yes, they weren't in cages, but they may as well be.
No, because these are meat chickens, right?
Yes,
the ones in cages are laying eggs.
Yes,
the ones
they were
you're
meat
seeing
chickens.
Chickens being raised.
And then
meat.
I don't think they even had them in there for very long, maybe like 7 or 8 weeks or maybe whatever, they get shipped out.
Yeah, up to 6 weeks because they've bred them to grow faster and faster.
So then there are all these chickens lying there, and then we're like, are some of them kind of dead? Like, oh my God. But he's like, no, they're not dead. And he hit something and then they like kind of came awake. But then this was so disturbing. One of the girls who, I don't know if it's a relative or something, her job, and we saw her, was to walk through there, find the dead ones, holding them up by their legs and just like fling them out.
Absolutely. That is completely standard.
Horrendous.
Yeah, that is standard. In the industry, as you say, these are very young birds. They're sent to be killed at 6 to 7 weeks. But the industry accepts a percentage mortality of about 5%. So 1 in 20 of those birds is going to die before they get to their 6th or 7th week. And nobody gives them any care. Nobody says, "Oh, this is a sick bird. Maybe we should, get some help for the bird," or even maybe we should put this bird out of its misery.
They wouldn't even know there were so many.
That's right, exactly. They don't know. So they walk through, they pick up the corpses, and get rid of them. And some of them, one of the reasons that some of them are dying or lying on the floor is they're bred to grow so fast, they put on weight so quickly that their leg bones are immature and causes them pain to support their body weight. So there's a professor in England who studied this called John Webster, who says that raising chickens for meat is the worst thing that we do to animals.
Really?
Partly because of the enormous scale. We're talking about tens of billions worldwide, maybe 50, 60 billion. In the US, it's about 9 billion a year. So it's a vast scale, and they're in pain for the last couple of weeks of their lives because their legs don't support their bodies. It's been likened to like if you're working in a shop and the boss says you have to stand up, you can't sit down all day, but you've got arthritis or something like that, which is causing pain in your legs, but you're still forced to stand. And some of them will lie down, but that's a problem because they're droppings. You might have noticed when you went to that shed, it stank of ammonia. Did you notice that?
I think it did.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so.
I've been in sheds where it actually gets in your throat and eyes and nose when you breathe. And that ammonia is on the floor. They don't clean the droppings out. And it forms an alkaline substance, which if they sit on it too long can actually burn their skin when the moisture, the moisture combined with the ammonia actually is caustic. So they get burns on their skin and their legs. And so they can't really just spend their day lying there except when they eat. They have to get up and walk around.
Do you think there is any humane way to be able to eat meat at all, animal meat?
Oh, in theory there is, yes. And I would say there are some people who do produce meat humanely, but it's a tiny minority. And there's certainly, as I was saying, you would need to have the animals outside and free to range. We do have some egg producers who do that, and you can see if they're labelled free range, they do have to have a number of hours outside each day. And the more ethical ones will put on the box how many hens they have per hectare. And I would say, the ones that have only hundreds or maybe up to 1,500 is acceptable. When they go over that, it's getting too many, and they're probably not really grass on the run much anymore because there's too many birds, and they can't form social groups. But you can do that with eggs, and you can do it with raising chickens for meat or raising pigs for meat. If you give them good lives and plenty of space, and social groupings that are natural to them. But it is a lot more expensive. That's why we have this factory farming. It pushes the more ethical farmers out of business, or else they have to stay in business. They have to have educated consumer that says, yes, I'm going to pay more for these eggs or for this meat because I care about how the animals lived. And still, there's a lot of questions you may not know. So you talked about slaughter. So how even if the pigs had good lives, how were they slaughtered, or the cows, or the chickens, whatever it may be. So it's hard to get the information, I think, to really say, I'm prepared to accept the fact that these animals were killed
Yes.
because I think they had good lives, and I'll sort of accept that bargain.